Girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm back with another review to The Flash. We were in the episode called Enter Flashtime, and wow, I didn't know what to expect with this episode, really. Hearing Flashtime, I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a villain. Maybe it's something to do with, with the Flash, when it comes to Flash and time, as fans, we get nervous. We get real nervous, because we all know that Barry and time, travel, it just does not mix. So I was like, okay, I don't think we're gonna go there though this season, but man, this episode turned out to be so much better than I expected, and I have so many thoughts. Before I get into it, just a quick update on the whole Flash reaction video situation. I am still awaiting response on my dispute for my Flash videos. It hasn't come back. I did get a response for one of my Black Lightning videos, so that's why I posted my reaction for Black Lightning last week. And I plan on posting my reaction to Black Lightning this week with the hope that things will go okay. But yeah, I still have not heard about anything for my Flash videos yet. None of them have been unblocked yet, so I am still leery about putting them back up just until I find out for sure whether or not we're in a good place here as far as how the claimant feels with my fair use, which I believe I've been within. But anyway, yeah, so that's why there still isn't a reaction. I really want to share it with you guys, I do, but I just really, like I said, I just would hate to put it out there just to have it blocked and have to go through the whole dispute process again if I don't need to. So yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully we'll hear something really, really soon, and if that's the case, I will be posting them back on YouTube. But I do have a backup plan that I'm willing to employ if it turns out that I don't hear anything positive back from my Flash reaction. So I know this is really frustrating. I know I'm not the only reactor. I'm seeing more and more reactors that are getting hit with these blocks, and I don't know what's going on. But digressing, that's where the reaction is, and yeah, sorry about that again. I really, really, really appreciate your patience so far. Now that the housekeeping's out of the way, on to this amazing episode. There were so many amazing things in this episode, honestly, that I can't even, I mean, okay, I'm just gonna do just a warning right off the bat. I am a West Allen shipper. Anyone who's watched my reactions and my reviews since the get-go knows that West Allen is my couple. They are the gold standard. I love them. So if you're not about that life, I'll warn you. I'll give you a warning. I'm gonna wait till the end of the video so that for those of you who are not about the West Allen ship, won't have to listen to me gush, because there will be plentiful gushing. I'm also a huge, massive fan of Miss Iris West as a character, West Allen, I should say, and I love Candace Patton as an actress, and I stand for her, and I stand for that character, so I will be gushing about her as well. So again, if that's something that you're not about, then this is not the review for you. On to the episode. Let's talk about the geeky parts of the episode. Everything being in Flashtime was great. We've only seen little pieces of it basically on and off since season 1 of the show, as far as how it looks for Barry when he's in the Speed Force, and that's okay. Like, I'm really not mad at it, just because, we're the audience, right? We're most of us would be seeing it from the perspective of being outside the Speed Force, and I'm okay with that. But I really love that this episode really just took time to be like, let's really just sit here for a moment. Let's really just take a minute and explore what it is to be a speedster for a whole episode, and really know what it's like for Barry when he talks about how the day just drags on for him. The fact that people are literally look like they're just walking around in like a mannequin challenge all day, every day, while he's going about his day. Like, I really like that we got to just sit there in that animation, in that moment, and really get an idea of what it must be like for Barry. It also gives us an idea of how he's able to kind of do the things that he does, because everything is basically standing still in this world for him. So that was great. Loved it. Loved all the effects that we got, with even the Speed Force effect that we got when Barry was running outside of it and getting it to chase him. That reminded me of a scene right out of Thor Ragnarok. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It was really well done. Really like what they did there. It just looked slick. Technically speaking, really well done with this episode. Really good. The effects team always does a good job, but I feel like it really shone through in this episode, and it was a great support to what was really kind of a heavier one in the sense of story and character arcs. Now on to, the Jesse stuff. We found out that the whole thing that kicked the whole thing off with her and her dad not getting along was that she feels that he has adequately dealt with the death of her mother, and as a result, that's why he's so ornery and so combative, and why we know Harry's not exactly the warmest guy to get close to. So she felt that maybe it stemmed back to the loss of her mother, and apparently her trying to push Harry into talking about that caused them to clash even more than they normally did, and that's where they are now. We see in Jessie's case, the reason she really wants her dad to talk about it is not just for his self-healing, but because she was clearly too young to remember her mom. From the sounds of things, her mother died long before Jessie really got a chance to get to know her. So Harry's really her only real avenue to get to know what her mother was like and understand what their relationship was like. And that's very important to a young lady, to anyone who didn't get a chance to get to know their mothers. So that was really beautiful. I think the moment, especially the moment at the end where she got to hear her mother's laugh and hear these thoughts. I thought that was beautifully done, really well acted by those two actors as well. And yeah, it was just a cute, nice resolution to that storyline. I think from there we can kind of move into Barry and how, just how this whole episode kind of came down with solving the case, so to speak. I love that Barry kind of first of all, I'm really hoping we at some point get more explanations into how Barry's able to stop time around him, because he's manipulating time, not in the sense of going back or going forward, but he actually is manipulating time around him, which is something we learned in this episode only he can do. So Jay Garrick, who's been a speedster way longer than Barry, doesn't know how to do what Barry does. Or maybe he's able to stop time, but he doesn't know how to pull one person out of time and get them to move at the same speed as him. So very interesting that we got to see that Barry's the only speedster that we know of that's able to do that. Yeah, just seeing how he went through the problem solving, him and Jessie and Jay. Thank God Jay was there, because Barry would have tried to throw that bomb into the Speed Force, and that way I can't believe he was seriously entertaining that idea. I love, once again, though, that this show brought out the fact that Barry and again Jessie and all these people are genius level smart, right? We saw this the last time in the prison episode with Barry breaking out, but again, I feel like the show kind of forgot all about that for seasons 2 and 3. That Barry is a genius. He's very, very smart. He's a very, very smart man. He's got degrees in science. He's not a dummy. So I love that they brought up the fact that he would understand things like fusion reactors and all the other crazy chemistry stuff that they brought up in this episode. It was and physics stuff that they brought up in this episode. That was really, really cool. And the fact that all of this was happening, I love that at the beginning of the episode they said that it was 8 minutes. In real time, it was 8 minutes, but those 8 minutes, Barry had time to go get other speedsters, work out plans, pull people out of the Speed Force and try to get them to do things. That was insane. That overarching thought process just made this episode all the more. I love that Barry didn't need a pep talk this episode, that it really was just no, I gotta do this. I've gotta figure this out for myself. I'm a full-grown hero now, and I need to be able to work this stuff out for myself. I do wish Wally was there, though. I'm very sad that they couldn't have found a way to bring Wally into this episode, but c'est la vie. Now I think we can move into the Iris West appreciation part of the video. Okay, listen. Let me tell you a little story about Iris West, okay? We'll start with this Candace Patton that once upon a time, about 4.5 years ago, it was announced that Miss Candace Patton, the beautiful, wonderful actress that she is, was cast in the role of Iris West for this upcoming show called The Flash. And the internet imploded. I'm not going to get into detail, but even though quite a few people were very supportive of the decision and just were happy to get this show and they didn't care who was cast as long as they were good, there was, of course, that small section of the troll community that just could not handle the fact that Candace Patton did not look like Iris West of the comic page. Through all of that, Candace Patton has just stuck through it. She stuck through a lot of negativity that came from some portions of the fan base, and through what I consider to be a complete diss in almost all of season 2. Her character, who's supposed to be the lead actress of this series, was basically backburnered all of season 2. She sat through all that. She did it. She was always graceful, always gracious, no shade to anybody, even though she should have and could have thrown it. And it's finally paying off in that the show really is utilizing her in the way that, in my opinion, she should have been utilized from day one. But we're getting there. New writers, and I'm loving these writers for this. But I love that this episode finally brought out something and addressed what I have no doubt, like, these writers are woke. These new writers, I love it because they are very woke, and I know that they are out there. I'm sure they are on Twitter, and they are on Insta, and they're on Tumblr, and all these other places, and they're reading what people are saying about this show, because they've addressed a lot of the stuff that has been sitting out there. And one of the biggest complaints people have said, especially since we've come back for season 4, was, why is Iris on Team Flash? She has no point on Team Flash. She's useless. Why is she there? She doesn't have any powers. Why is she running things? Why can't we have the OG Team Flash back? A lot of reasons. But more importantly, this episode, to me, proved once again that she's exactly where she should be. Iris is smart. And if you really think that Iris hanging out with Team Flash for the past almost year now, almost exclusively, that she's not going to inherently pick up some stuff, like, she's not a dummy, people. Just because she didn't, pursue a career in sciences does not mean she's not a brilliant person. You have to be a very smart and deductive person to be an investigative reporter. And so I love that this show, I love this episode in particular, really just brought out the fact that Iris is super important. We had Jay say it, and we saw it with that amazing scene with the two of them when Barry was about to lose his mind and Iris pulled him back. Like, she is such a vital part of Team Flash, and she doesn't get enough credit for it. Finally, here's your warning, people. I am about to go into the West Allen gushing zone of the portion of the video, so if you're not about it, you might want to tune out now, because I'm about to get real sappy with these kids right now. Okay, you've been warned. Like, I have a lot of West Allen scenes that I would consider to be my favorites. I love their first kiss. I loved the rooftop scenes that you used to have together in the first season. I loved the whole, when they went to Earth 2, the other Iris and Barry. I love the dynamic between their relationship. But this is probably hands down my favorite scene in this episode that I've ever seen of my couple. The scene when Barry goes and pulls her out of time. My favorite West Allen moment to date. I'm not really a Notebook kind of girl. I don't watch those types of movies. I'm not really into the crazy over-the-top gestury type of stuff. I really love to see is when couples are real. When they have that moment, when they're not perfect, when they're not at their best, when they're kind of exposed and vulnerable, and seeing them work together and build each other up and just really kind of come together in that moment. Those are the kind of things that I like. That's the kind of romance and love that I like to see. And well, I get that The Flash isn't really that gritty type of drama type show. I'm glad that the show took this opportunity to give them a kind of a moment like that without getting too dark. Barry's there, he's exhausted all the ideas he can think of. He's the last Flash standing, which FYI, that's huge. He's just at the end of his rope. He thinks that he's about to die. He thinks all the people he loves are about to die. He feels like a failure. He's literally at one of the lowest points he's probably ever been in his life, period. And he comes to see the woman that he loves, and like, just so many things went on in that scene that honestly I could gush about it for a whole video. But the fact that he comes to her and he just lets it all out, like, you never would have seen Barry like that in front of Jesse or in front of Team Flash. That vulnerable, exposed, oh my God, I'm at the end of my rope, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I'm so scared, I'm tired, I don't know what to do anymore. That is a vulnerability that Barry would only show potentially to, other than Iris, to Joe. That's it. And I love that in that moment, Iris, and I think about it, you have to remember, Barry's been running around doing all this stuff for, the equivalent of almost 40 minutes in our time. But to Iris, this happened a second ago. A second ago, Barry went off to a call and they stopped all the shooting, and the next second, Barry's in front of her telling her a bomb's about to go off and we're all gonna die. So just remember that, keep that in mind, that in that moment, all she sees is that the love of her life is losing it, spiraling, scared, grasping. And what does she do? She says to him, you know what? It's okay. Whatever's going on, it's okay. You can't figure it out, that's okay. She takes his head, puts it to her chest. Very loving, protective move. Tells him it's okay. tells him to focus on her, look at her, forget what's going on right now, be with me in this moment. I want to be here with you. She doesn't even like let the tears come. She just says, look, I love you. I love every moment with you. She just stays so grounded in that moment for Barry, and that's what he needs in all this chaos. And then of course with all of that, and then of course with even Iris, who again, remember, is trying to catch up to all of this in the moment, Barry says an offhanded comment about how she's his lightning rod, and it's enough for her to trigger a response that helps Barry figure out what he needs to figure out. And that right there to me, I'm like, I'm sorry, like, there it is. Give them their things, like, done, gold standard. This is why these two are an amazing couple, one of the best couples on television, one of the best superhero couples that I've ever seen on screen. That's it, hands down. At me, I don't care, because I will fight you on this one, okay? It was so well done. It was beautiful. It was beautifully acted. You know, just, oh, Candace and Grant have amazing on-screen chemistry. Like, these are the scenes that prove over and over again why those casting directors said, yes, these two need to work together. That's what I love to see. I love to see those moments that are raw and not so beautiful and perfect, but they become perfect because Iris in that moment was like, my man needs me and I'm gonna be there for him, and vice versa. Barry was like, if there's any place I want to end the world with, it's gonna be right here with you. So outside of that, we just had that small little snippet at the end of the episode with who we're assuming is Dawn Allen popping up again at Jitters, which just seems to be her base of operations, and making sure she accidentally bumps into Caitlin and Harry, and then seemingly has a very negative reaction to either one or both of them. I can't tell exactly which yet, but this is the first time we've seen Dawn look like she's up to no good, or up to something that's a little less than pure. And so I really have a lot of questions now. Like, is this Dawn? Is this really Dawn? What's going on here? I need to know more. And I almost forgot about her because we haven't seen her in a few episodes, but now I'm all back into wondering what she's all about and what her angle is, and I need to know now. If you guys have any theories, please let me know in the comments. What do you think she's up to? What do you think she's watching? And do you think maybe she is a good guy? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Dawn's actually working for DeVoe in some way. Maybe she's a spy. What did you guys think of this episode? I loved it, as you can tell. I was super excited, super pumped the second it was over. Actually feel like I might want to go and watch it again. What did you guys think? What was your favorite part of this episode? And if you're a West Allen shipper, I mean, am I right? Please leave your comments below. If you like this video, guys, please click like. If you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, guys, see ya.